Good evening. I'm running just a tiny little bit late tonight. Apologies for that. Yeah, so last time I got the Aegis plate. And I ran a little bit over time to do so, but I got it. And the main consequence of that is that I get to touch obstacles without taking any damage, which is nice. And so I find myself on my way back to the entry hall. Because there were some things up there that I wanted that I previously couldn't get on account of not being able to survive an arbitrary number of spikes to the face. I am glad I remembered the input for that. I think technically the Aegis plate would also protect me if I, stepped into this. Yes, it does. Awesome. But yeah, it works on any and all stage hazards, which I think is lovely. I like how after the first row of spikes, they're just like, here, have another one. Just in case you somehow cheese your way through the first. Crow hat. Not particularly better than the Travelers. I should probably also at some point consider Oriental Sorcery Lab. I should also probably at some point consider sitting down and making a list of all the stuff I would need to craft that sword that I like the look of. But where I stand right now, my mace is doing well enough, and there's what's-his-face. He appears to be trapped in an arch. No way in or out. He will die here. And the important thing is that I won't be held liable because his body is sealed by its stone. How could this possibly be my fault? Yeah, regrettably, this treasure chest is sealed underneath a bridge. And is equally inaccessible. Also, my goodness, maxing out the regen shard was absolutely worth the effort. So long as I'm not taking too many hits in a row. Pickpocket. unlocked. It allows you to sometimes steal items from enemies. That sounds like the sort of thing that I'm into. What was I saying? Oh yeah, mixing out regions so that it becomes permanent was extremely worth doing. Okay, so there was a whole thing here that I have yet to engage with. Over here was the other side of a, like a floor thing that I couldn't get past earlier. MP max up this spell. A completely mundane potion. And Hair of Parent the Second. With rewards like that, it almost feels like I was meant to get here much sooner. Weird. Back Steel. A banded blade art that lets you slip behind foes and steal from them. Nothing personnel, kid. I just wanted your stuff. Oh boy, teleporter maze. Everybody's favorite. I would really like to find my way back down to that other one with the, with the breakable wall behind it. On account of wanting the breakable wall. Oh, the teleportations aren't even linked. Like going through a door and then turning around might take you somewhere completely different. Stuff like that is always really hard to manage. This is exactly the sort of thing where a notebook would come in handy. Ooh, recipes for ramen. And the funny thing is, I literally have a notebook and a pencil directly in front of me. But like, it's underneath some stuff, and I don't wanna move the stuff off of it. Even though it's basically just a few papers, so I totally could. Oh, this is fine. There's also the exit up there, which I may or may not need. We're in the Zenite equipment. But like by by Terraria standards, that's pretty hard mode. Okay, can I get up there? It looks like I want to fall through. Oh, there we go. Easy. I feel like there's got to be more to this room than that. Oh well. Maybe it's just a convenient place. I was gonna say, maybe it's a convenient place to find that enemy, but like, that exact enemy is right outside of a safe room. So like, I don't know, I guess. Another 2,000 gold, we take those. Warp point, excellent. I will actually use this to lock in my progress. Oh, double Q. Good evening indeed. I'm just saving my game after finding a workroom in the new zone that I got access to. With the Aegis plate that I got last time, I was able to get through the spikes to get up here and into this area. And now all that progress is locked in. I guess I also got the pickpocket shard, where I guess randomly when I hit an enemy, I'll just get gold for it. Which works for me. I like getting given money to do things that I was already doing. Like, we will pay you to go into this cave and kill everything inside. It's like, yeah, you drive a hard bargain, but, I'm game. Here, apparently, was that 7 or 8? By the way, his hairstyles. Oh, good old kitty cat. Doja Kitty. From the monkey, I think that was. A great blade by the smith Yasasuna. It appears in an only slaying tale. I think my ordinary sword, quote-unquote sword, is still a bit better. This one's a bit faster. The cats fight back. They swipe at you and then you try to use spells on you. But also, yes, they are filled with loot, which is the same thing as consenting to being killed by adventurers. For this, I have what I need, actually. Okay. it'll be a boss of some description. I'm hoping that there'll be a save point on the other side of this hallway. Something just a smidge closer, so if I die, I don't have to run quite as far. Manju. Oh, that's a Tengu. I just broke his nose. Detective's eye for the win. I was just thinking them menacingly. My familiar was like, no, we got beef. I think I want to put my regeneration chart on. So the one that's entirely passive is only half as strong as the baseline one. And if you have the passive active at the same time that you have the active equipped, it actually adds their powers together. So I should now be regenerating about 3 times as hard. Ufuda Talisman. Is that a weapon, or is that like a key item? I would assume that it would be like a thrown weapon, like the Flying Edge? Or maybe like a gun? Maybe it's an accessory? There it is. Okay, really decent, really decent defensive stats for the looks of it. Though not as good as what I've got. Unfortunate. I don't want to take off the Plunderer's Ring. I enjoy plundering. Plundering, Usually this hallway is very fun. More miso. That's another boss room. The ritual is tomorrow, but we have a problem. One of the children we selected, Miriam, has fallen into a deep slumber, and her crystal, which accounts for half of the catalyst we intended to use, has lost its power. I suspect, my friend, but it matters not. Congratulations, Jigstraw, on being first. I suspect, my friend, but it matters not. The ritual's chances of success have waned, but we must find a way. Whilst Vale did not come, Vale being the strongest demon, the summoning was a triumphant success. Demons have flooded into our world, proving the validity of the guild's beliefs and the necessity of our presence. However, I never imagined it would lead to such a catastrophe. Was I foolish to heed my superiors so blindly? Well, what's done is done. Man says that he couldn't have foreseen it, but literally the plan was to flood the world with demons to cause catastrophe so that people would beg the alchemists to fix it. Anyway.
I've been waiting for you, Miriam.
The Shardbinders should be struck from existence. Is that it?
Correct. But I am here to test you, not end you.
I have no quarrel with you, Zangetsu.
Perhaps not. But carnage is the language I speak. If we are to come to an understanding, this is how we do it. Now, fight as if your life depended on it.
Wait, another fight with Zangetsu. But now I'm stronger than I was last time. was he, but like, might be an important one here. It helps that I don't die in 3 hits. Like, he still hurts, but like, relatively speaking, I'm tankier than I was the first time. What is this, vampire survivors?
So the burden falls on me after.
I like how his line cut out. It's like you'd think that you would make your like on-kill line fit within the on-kill screen. Come on. Oh. Oh. He's got the Ofuda out again. I'm not sure how to handle those. I guess waiting them out is valid. Ooh, electricity. Sir? Oh, he hurts. I'm learning. Let's start those on so I don't have to change them every time. I look kind of cool with this hat and these glasses. Like, on their own, the glasses weren't great, but, like, with the hat, it kind of works. That's probably what it is. It's reminding me of Alucard. It says he's a bit better for room clearing. I wonder if I got any shards better for, like, boss hurting. Yeah, this seems to do the job. If memory serves, Void Ray was the spell that I used the most on my original playthrough, at least at the end. That was a very big number. My goodness.
More capable.
Alright, You know, he messed me up real good. Let's see. I'll just leave that on Void Ray for now. I should save my game after doing that. Thank you for the headbands, I appreciate them. If I spend too long getting beaten up by, Zangetsu, I might go down here and see if, like, whatever's in there is more handleable. Also, I just had a thought.
I've been...
Does Zangetsu know how to handle me if I'm on the ceiling? Yes, he does. Certainly seems like he has some difficulty with it. This does feel strong, though. Especially if I had more mana to sustain it. I don't have a huge quantity of ether. I like how dark matter doesn't even give a bonus for eating it once. Oh, release me. I'm surprised that worked. Oh, nice. Concerning. Oh, it stays hurting.
So the burden
Not
falls on me.
sure how to handle that. Does that look like it covered everything? Still, I am learning. About him, if nothing else. And I got 2/3 of the way there, ish, approximately, so that's good. It bodes well for my progress. Mostly on account of I'm tangibly making it. Void Ray feels very capable of being my main damage, as long as I can, like, land my shots. Sayonara.
Take this!
Oh, I fell out. Okay. Okay, so 2000. The shotgun kunai is definitely a thing that I'm gonna have trouble handling. Okay, that's not too bad, actually. They're not dangerous until they actually explode. And the familiar got him. Excellent.
Enough. How do you expect me to fight as if my life depends on it when you are clearly not?
You could tell.
With your skill, you could have destroyed me in a heartbeat.
I have a gift for you.
Give. Give to me. Zangetsuto. That's his sword.
What are you doing?
My sword. The Zangetsuto.
That means moon cutter.
I came to England in pursuit of a demon named Gremory.
I'm pretty sure.
Only by that blade may she be cut down.
Gremory? That's the demon that attends Jeeble. But why give the sword to me?
I've tried making contact with Gremory, but I have yet to cross paths with her even once.
You think she's avoiding you?
She must be. And surely you have noticed that man you're after, Jeeble? Gremory is controlling him.
Audible gasp.
But her hold on him is not absolute. Perhaps you have seen signs. A moment of weakness. A diminishing of his resolve.
Yes. When I faced him on the galleon.
Good. That means your ties to Jeeble are still stronger than Gremory's, and she knows it. Which means she will not allow Jeeble to be alone with you. When she appears, use that blade and cut her down.
But wait. Why not come with me and do it yourself?
Because if she fears me more than she fears relinquishing Jeeble, then we risk losing her. I will have my vengeance on her. Even if it means parting with the sword. And there is something else I need to clear up while you deal with Gremory.
All right. I will finish what you started.
What I started. I am certain you will.
Yep, didn't take me too long. I might need to restock on food, but that's not the biggest deal. Yeah, Zangetsuto. A great blade whose bearers give the name Zangetsu, or Moon Sunderer. I should probably get used to this. Looks like it's roughly equivalent to the Iamar in terms of like attack power. It just slashes instead of strikes. I'm not gonna sell the Zangetsuto if I need it. Don't need these anymore. I guess my main gripe with this overusing a one-handed weapon is I can't really angle this one downwards. Like, the art that you're seeing is, as far as I can tell, the only one that I've got access to. So maybe I actually keep my Ayamura and I just pull out Sengetsuto when I need to. Ninja gives me Shuriken. Let me take those. Let's put Tepsosius back on this. And what's in here? Carpenter's room. Oh, wasn't the Carpenter's key a thing that I needed? Pretty sure it was. Man's got hit points. Alright. That said, I don't think he has the same, Never mind. Oh wait, he just carved out a Ouija board. That's what he did. Okay, man is surprisingly dangerous. I will come back later when I'm stronger. I would keep fighting him, but he's kind of far from a... what's the word? He's kind of far from a checkpoint, so... I'd rather put up more of a fight. But yeah, now that I've got the Sengetsuto, I can actually go back and fight Chiefle. Because I've technically been able to fight him for a long while now. But without the Sengetsuto, I couldn't do it correctly. Shinobi Garb. Better offensively, not as good defensively. I think I prefer the Valkyrie dress. Bye, kitty. I remember that there was something that I wanted to do. Like, I think that I decided on, like, before stream, but I've forgotten what it was. Oh well. It'll probably come back to me. Yeah, so as mentioned, technically I could have fought Gibo a while ago. And the reason not to do that would be that I didn't have the Zangetsuto and couldn't get the, couldn't get, like, the proper continuation of the story. But there is a bad ending.
Now that you've tasted the power of so many shards, I presume you're ready to join me.
And as long as I don't use the Zangetsuto, I still will get the bad ending, so I think I'll do that just to show it off.
You presume wrongly. I'm here to keep my promise to you, and nothing else.
What promise?
You really have forgotten then? I swore to you that I would stop you if your Shardbinder power ever manifested itself against your will. You made the same oath to me.
Please! You think I wield this power unwillingly?
I do. I've known it since our meeting on the Galleon. But there was a moment when I saw a flicker of the real Jeeble beneath all that hate.
Fool! I've had enough! If you want to stop me, you'll have to do it by force.
As you wish. It's time to free you of this once and for all.
Next time, obey.
So notice how the moon has turned red. And he's dead.
Forgive me, Jeeble.
You did the right thing, Miriam. Thank you.
But was it the right thing?
With that many shards bound to you, you will be all too easy to possess.
Yeah, game over. Bad ending. So let's do that again, but with Zangetsuto, which I could technically just put on at the very end, but I'd rather just go in with it.
Next time, so long. Now that you've tasted the power of so many shards.
I don't want to accidentally kill him. And cut.
At last, the Liber Logion is mine!
Think again.
Well, that just happened.
Miriam, I've missed you.
I knew you were in there. I knew it.
You kept your promise. Thank you.
Oh no, he's turning to crystal.
What's going on? No, the corruption shouldn't spread this fast.
It's better this way. The world can be rid of me. This castle. We can't allow it to.
Shh, I know. I know I'll destroy it. But you're going to live, Jeeble.
I'm glad. Good to see you smile. One last.
Jeeble! Jeeble!
And now he's Crystal.
It shouldn't have come to this, my friend.
I should eat him.
Are you ready, Johannes?
I am if you are.
Yes. I have a new promise to keep.
If you plan to destroy the castle, you won't be able to do it without the Liber Logaeth.
Then I need to track down Alfred.
Gremory will be after him too. Tracking Gremory might be faster.
The moon, you mean? I'll try it.
Nom. He's made a crystal, I eat crystals. We can make this happen. Yeah, with that, the story can probably continue. Crystals are nice and pretty. Millionaire's key. But yeah, so there was another place where we could actually see the same blood moon that Gremory had. Boxes are often put inside crystals. Oh, are you referring to Crystal from Star Fox Adventure? I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, Crystal in the Crystal. Name very on point. I vaguely remember where to go next. I think it's up this way? It's in this general vicinity, if nothing else. Something else I should consider doing is revisiting the library, which I think was like over here. I guess this is the library, so still doing inside of a crystal? I can make that happen. Need to take some work, but I can make that happen. Oh, thank you for the headphones. Ooh, smoothie. Nice. I know it's somewhere... I know it's somewhere. I will find it eventually. At times like this, I wish my memory was better. Like, I usually wish that my memory was better, but like, I'm especially wishing my memory was... I also wish that I could speak articulately. That would also be nice. I usually wish that my memory was better, but like, moments like this, it's like extra. That's where I fought Bloodless. It is kind of stream alert coded, I agree. It's actually kind of funny. One of my musically inclined friends, like, literally years ago at this point, was just like, oh, Ariel, I should make you like a little stream like jingle, like a little like loop. And I was like, oh, that'd be lovely. And I think she's forgotten. Because it's been years. I wish that the cursor would show the name of like what I'm mousing over rather than just where I am. That'd make it so much easier for me to find my way around. Oh well, it is what it is. I wonder if any of the hairstyles I picked up are to my taste.
Fascinating.
Not particularly. Oh well. I guess each catalog is like one hairstyle. I've been spoiled by games where there's like a million hairstyles. I wish I remembered where the thing was. Okay, if the next thing that I check isn't the thing that I'm looking for, I will just shamelessly look up the location of it on the right. Because, like, it's not a secret, I've been there, I just don't remember where it is. I think it's the Warhorse's key. I feel like I'm in the right area, though, actually. This feels like the right area. Yes, here we are. Does anything in this scene look suspicious or out of place? We're gonna take a 5-minute break here. Please use this time to refill your beverage, go to the bathroom. Anything that would take you about 5 minutes. I will see you shortly. I return. Also, I noticed that, like, if I hold, like, the button that makes Miriam pose for long enough, she actually takes another pose. Anyway, Piccolo would be proud of me because to heck with this moon.
Curse you.
And of behemoths. Ooh, we're off the map. Everything is big. Oh, there's Alfred.
Alfred!
The book.
The Liber Logaeth? What about it?
She stole it.
I brought your apprentice like you. What happened here?
Master, who did this to you? Thank you, Zangetsu.
Yeah, in the original Dragon Ball Z Abridged, it just cuts between the moon and Piccolo back and forth several times, then Piccolo screams moon and blows it up.
Johannes, I must beg a boon of you. What? All right.
Miriam, we need to talk.
Yes. I thought Alfred was our enemy.
Dominique seemed so keen on pitting me against the old alchemist that I decided to have a word with him after you and I fought. And unfortunately, he confirmed my suspicion.
Which is?
Dominique has been manipulating us this whole time. I'm not certain why.
Wait, what?
If she had wanted to deal with this mess in an expedient manner, she would have sent you and me to deal with Jebel together. But instead, she divided our strength and insisted I chase after Alfred. It didn't make any sense. Alfred was never trying to get in our way.
I'm not sure about you, but he got in my way.
You misunderstand. All he wanted was to keep you as far away from the castle as possible.
Why?
Because you were the most attuned.
Attuned to what?
Of all the humans transplanted with Crystal, you had the greatest ability to wield the demon's power. Alfred feared you would be used.
Then why didn't he say so?
Would you have believed him? Dominique had already won over you and Johannes both.
I mean, personally, I feel like if he was like, wait, Miriam, listen, it's like this. I feel like I personally would have listened to him, heard him out. But I'm not Miriam, so...
And even if you had been inclined to listen, he knew you too well to think that you would back down.
You know, I definitely wouldn't have backed down. You got that right.
I suppose I wouldn't have. What do you think Dominique is plotting?
As I said, I know not. We will just have to find her.
Oh, whoops. And ask her.
Miriam, the Master wants to talk to you. Miriam, forgive me for dragging you into all this. I am responsible for all your misfortunes. I hope you can find it in your heart to...
And he's dead.
Alfred?
He must have known he would not leave here alive. We can grieve later. Right now, we need to put an end to all this, or his death will mean nothing.
You're right.
Yeah, the death doesn't really hit me personally, because, like, I barely knew Alfred as a character. Miriam grew up seeing him as a father figure, though, so it kind of hits harder for her.
Johannes, he explained everything to you.
Yes. I know what I need to do.
Then let us begin. First, Gremory. She can't be far. But her mastery of subspace allows her to move about freely.
In other words, she's likely to slip away again.
I have a way of stopping her from leaving. She knows I have given up the Zangetsuto, and will spring at me then. Believing me powerless, that is when you strike. I will go on ahead. Join me as soon as you think you are ready.
I can't do much of anything until you get back the Liber Logaeth. I'm sorry I can't be of more help. But for now, this is in your hands, Miriam. Be safe.
I will, Johannes.
I'll be in the village if you need me.
Alrighty, so big plot developments. $500 gold. I find it kind of funny that the transitions between rooms in the Den of Behemoths are like on a different cell in the map. Like it just shows up as like a wall until you like pass through all of it. Luckily, it seems that I don't actually need invert to go that high. Silver Wolf Man. Release me. Could have gone worse. Gambler's Ring. Both luck and pluck to would-be gamblers. Good old JoJo reference. It was just like, no. Sadly, I don't think this game has, like, the concept of a luck build. Luck just determines how often you crit and how often you get drops, I believe. $100 gold, we take those. I am looking for warp rooms and save points. Failing that, in general, I would just like to know where things are. Release me. I was mashing and I accidentally did invert. Oh, there's the Millionaire's Key. I do think it's kind of cool how this is like essentially a gigantified version of like a super early game zone. And like all the enemies are just kind of like in line with that. Yeah, Tipsocius also hits them if they're standing in the same place as like something else that I can jump to. Or if they're just adequately large. Big MPF. I'm trying to fill in the map both because, like, my completion is desires demanded, and also because, there are actually various things tied to map completion. HP max, we take those. $1,000 gold. Another 500. Not bad, not bad. You know, I wonder if I'd have a better time with the katana if I refreshed myself on the katana moves. Because there are a bunch of those. '11th hour, deflect physical attacks. There are about 20 times as many techniques as I've actually demonstrated. That's cool though. I also could find it kind of interesting that there was a mastery meter. I never really use techniques much, so like I'm not really sure what the outcome of mastering a technique is. Maybe it makes it cheaper to use. It feels like a logical reward. SMH, it's almost like the bats don't want to stick around and get killed. How inconsiderate. Oh, my bones. Yeah, he's dead. That totally looks like a door that I could walk through. Oh well. That man was minding his own business. 2 months have passed. The church vanquished the demons, but too much human life had been lost. Once it was found we had a hand in the affair, my superiors were executed and the guild left crippled. Alchemy's principle held. We sacrificed everything and gained just as much misery. Only by some miracle was my life spared. Jebel did not die in the ritual. He is here. Flanked by demons, he delivers judgment to the alchemists. My own punishment has come, and it will be far worse than the others. To the shardbinders who died at my hands, forgive me. And to you, my dear friend Alfred, I should have listened. May God have mercy on me. And there's the journal that would have exonerated Alfred if I found it earlier. Oh well. Oh well. That sure was boss food shaped. Oh. Save room. Excellent. Oh, thank you for the headpats. I appreciate them.
Let's put your luck to the test.
Valithar. I feel like I probably want to keep the Gambler's Ring on. Just that kind of vibe. The game is lagging a little bit. He sure is trying to do mechanics to me. And he's dead.
Just watch as I clean you out. Plunder.
Blue. And then he steals all of my money. I'm actually down to 0 gold.
All loaded today.
I will simply kill him again. But yeah, probably the easiest boss in the game, by a substantial margin. The technique is a defensive technique, or I would just use it. Oh, the ricochet got me. He was very close to being dead, though. Matter of fact, I think I just accidentally used the technique. I got a shard soul save my DM again. Also, I'm not sure why he's lagging so bad. Like, I wouldn't describe this game as difficult to run. Oh well.
Let's put your luck to the test.
Oh, you know what? It's probably like the very, very, very many coins in his torso. Because the performance gets way better when he like dips below the screen.
Just watch as I clean you out. Plunder.
And then he takes all my coins again.
You're loaded today, I see.
He sure is trying his hardest. And now I got no money for him to take. Nerd. Yes. Gold bullet. Weaponize 1% of your total gold and throw it in the designated direction. And I got all my money back, thank goodness. But yeah, super easy boss fight. I am not sure what happens if you don't have any gold round to take. Maybe he just goes, wait, you don't have any money, and just dies. Drain allows you to sometimes absorb HP when attacking enemies. That sounds like fun. I rank 1, regenerate is probably better. But it could be fun to like use them together. Also, I presume that like all the cash drops around the Den of Behemoths are there to like kind of like bait you into having money for the gambler or Balithor or whatever his name was. Arrow claws. And he's gone. I am now curious, though. Oh. What happens if you manage to get there with no money? Alas, this is unlikely to be the playthrough where I find out. I would have to deny and need to redo the fight. Oh, there's actually a thing down here. So I can go down, or I can go to the left. May as well start by going down. And this will take me out of here, somewhere else. Oh, I think I know where this goes. I think this is like the proper way forward. Yes, yes it is. Please shield doom. So I will want to go back to get that stuff. And that stuff. Is this nice? Ridiculous. Thoughts you. Focused ball of dark energy. Yeah, normally I would double back and finish out the Den of Behemoths, but there's a thing here in the tomb that I know for a fact that I want. And I'm willing to be a bit greedy to get it. That looks like a boss door. Oh, Crescent Stroke. Circle ending on up in the next. There we go. And I can save and get out. Or get out and then save, rather. Which I will do. Trying to do the input for the technique and it just isn't consistently working for me. There we go. I've never been particularly good at like fighting game style input. Which is part of why I've never really been super into fighting games. I've asked friends who are into fighting games and they just say, oh, well, practice until you can do it. And I'm just like, that's not as helpful as you probably think it is. Oh, it is what it is. MP for Fox. Weighted ring. I think I've already got one of those in a Increase of Experience game. Crystal armor. That sounds like fun. Resistant to darkness. Doesn't have a unique appearance, regrettably. I'll take it anyway, though. I don't actually know what the benefits of like a box or stick controller are. Like, I get that they're like the meta, I just don't know why. Though I presume they make it easier to do funky inputs, like the ones that I struggle with. Hey, another chair. Diamond from the Ice Spirit. Elemental, whatever. Man's got a very big axe. G Axe Outsider, which I presume stands for Giant. A cannon that shoots monkeys. It's creative, I'll give it that. There's the Warhorse's key. Been looking for that since the start of the game, more or less. Oh, Liverpool Learn, welcome. Thank you so much for the raid. My name is Ariel. I am a White Fox YouTuber. Specifically Arctic Fox. The Bloodstained is going fairly well. I'm currently looking for another save room because it's... I guess not that far. I could go here and then, like, save elsewhere. What were you up to before you, so kindly dropped in? Were you also playing this game? You know, this game is super fun. First Mr. Kirkusan, isn't that the one with, like, the main character with, like, the really nice hair physics? If it is, then that's how I've remembered it. Long hair? Maybe I just thought that he had nice hair. I do remember watching a friend play some of that and thinking something about the hair. Ah, save room. Excellent. Also, map completion, almost 95%. Very nice. Alexandrite. And P-Max up. I'm pretty sure through that door is what I'm looking for. Yeah, I really appreciate how in Bloodstained, you can make passive shards into skill shards. Having to Cactus Eye running non-stop is very nice.
I have you now.
That is a lot of low for that.
Fool, you just made your last mistake.
Need to breathe room? Oh, no shame at all. Have a wonderful rest of your night. And tell your dog that it's a very good dog. I say
You may
it not to
possess the
dehumanize it,
blade
but because I don't
now,
know if it's
but
a
without him to wield it, it poses no real threat to me.
Wrong, demon. Songetsu's wrath and mine are now one. You used Jeeble, and now you will pay!
Very good dog. Yes, have a wonderful night.
Very amusing, wench. I do not have time for this. But, seeing as I need your crystal, you leave me no choice.
Your wretched plans end here!
Come to think of it, I can't think of the last time I got called a wench. That's a new experience for me.
Baal, King of Kings, must be summoned. Prepare to be brought in line!
Okay, you don't have to fight Grimly with the Sanketsu Toe, but if you do, it hits twice, and both hits are crits, I believe. Also, I might die. That could happen. Oh, interesting.
Precious.
I haven't had my MP charge rate go up yet. Well, can't say that anymore, I suppose. Oh, I can cut those. Nice. Regrettable. Oh well. Learning moment. This is fine. I will say, getting cursed first thing isn't the best look for me. Okay, that was kind of embarrassing. I would make an excuse, but I kind of don't have one.
Pathetic.
Technically, something that I could do is, like... go and stock up on, like, consumable healing items again. But I feel like this is totally possible if I just lock in. Also, not getting cursed out. If I were capable of such a thing, not getting cursed first thing would also be nice. I wonder how she feels about, Void Ray. Does not appear particularly resistant, so I'll take it. I presume that the yellow ones can be destroyed and the red ones can't? It feels like a direction it would go. Oh, you know what? You know what? Good. Beast Guardian, I'm pretty sure, just blocks everything from the front. So that could be really good. I got up to some shenanigans with that on Bloodfest before I learned our moves harder. I've yet to figure out the proper way to dodge those. Like, they're a bit too aggressive and Miriam is a bit too floaty. At least for the way that I've been approaching it. Oh, it's like bug spray, I love it. I suppose I could also use Reflector Ray if I'm struggling to get underneath her. But I think I really just need to not be as greedy. That was great. I can take, like, maybe one more hit? If I don't heal again? Which, to be fair, I have no reason not to heal again. I'm being a little bit out. A little bit greedy. But I do want her dead. It's so close I can taste it. Unfortunately, she can also taste me by the looks of things. And she's dead. This is fine. Give me your thing. Dimension shift. Warp a short distance in the designated direction. Which, as far as I'm aware, is basically a straight upgrade over Reflector Ray in most situations.
Dimension shift!
You just go where you please. And all that stuff behind walls that I couldn't get to before, I can now get to. And just in general, it's like really nice quality of light for getting around things that are like annoying. Like for example, in the Oriental Sorcery Lab, I can't exactly remember where that is on the map. I think that was not here. That was up here, I think. Yeah, like this bit here where it's like there's like an annoying run all the way around. You can just go boop, and be up there. It's really nice. That thing says Summon Tracer, and I just think of the Overwatch character. Yeah, for example, wall like this. I can just go through it. It cannot be contained. Well, I can be, but the walls would need to be thicker than this. Ammo capacity up, we take those. There's another boss there. I don't remember what that one is. That said, before I attend to that one, because presumably it's... I can stick my nose in, find out what it is. Oh, it's Dominique. With demon powers. I see now why she wanted me to sell her all those shards.
So even Gremory has failed me. Alfred was afraid of what you could do with the shards, but not I. Look at you. Is that what you wanted? The crystal? You betrayed us, Dominique. Oh, don't think me ungrateful. I have you and Johannes to thank for teaching me the alchemist's lore and how to control the shards.
If memory serves, it's coming back to me now. I think this is actually the start of the final boss, so I don't actually want to be here just yet.
Shards, I might add, which you gave to me of your own will. Your sacrifice has become my strength. Why are you doing this? Because once again, the demons appeared, and once again God stayed silent, while his servants were slaughtered mercilessly one by one. So I began to wonder, what if there is no God? What if the Lord we grovel and pray before is a lie, and our faith draws power from some other nameless, unspeakable thing? If so, I wash my hands of it, because God can rot. I decided to seek a higher power, the power to slay gods.
I mean, she's not entirely wrong, but like, I feel like her ire should be pointed at demons first and God second. Like, God did stand by idly while he could help, which is kind of a dick move, but like, the demons are the ones actually doing it.
Do you realize how many people have died as a result? They deserve to die because they were weak, and more will follow until I obtain all I desire. This whole mess wasn't enough for you? If the last summoning had been enough, I wouldn't have had to bring you here. You're after a more powerful demon. Sheeple's crystal wasn't enough to summon it, so you needed mine instead. Smart girl. I like that. But your crystal was too clean, too pure. So I made sure you would obtain shards and acclimate yourself to demonic power. Then Gremory could possess you after the battle with Jeeble had worn you down. If Zangetsu hadn't betrayed me... Doing the right thing isn't a betrayal. You know what? I never expected to be put in a corner like this. You leave me no choice but to play my final card.
I will again.
I will use my crystal and the Liber Logaeth to summon Baal, the ultimate demon! Do you realize what will happen to you? Do you? You don't. So I'll tell you. There's a reason Jeeble survived 10 years ago. What does he have to do with this? It was in his blood. An exorcist, like me. Our blood suppressed the crystal corruption and effectively spared his life. And now I have surpassed him. I command the crystal through Enochian script. No demon is too powerful for me to summon, even if I cannot keep it here forever. But the process is slow, because I can see the summoning isn't complete. Do you really think you can stop me before then? Oh yes, I do. You don't understand what power is for. You wield it stupidly, arrogantly, and now you will pay the price.
Yeah, I'm not actually gonna fight her tonight. Yeah, that's actually all for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it each and every time. Next scheduled stream is going to be on Sunday. The game is going to be Teardown. The next time that I'm playing Bloodstained in particular is going to be on Monday. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful night. I hope to see you again. Since I got raided, let's pay it forward and find somebody else to raid. Let's see, same category. Okay, there are a few people playing. There's a person with one viewer. Let's make their day. Alright, whether or not you joined the raid, either way, thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful night.